Greetings to the video. I'm here with my favourite bike fitter, Burt. He's going to show you 5 steps to get the perfect bike fit at home. And the reason you want to do a bike fit is for comfort, for power, and just overall enjoyment of riding your bike. Is that anything else you want to add to that?
Injury prevention, comfort, so that you're not fighting anything on the bike.
Yeah.
It's working for you. So many people I see have been, working around suboptimal kit or position on the bike and not enjoying their cycle as much as they can do. So bike fit makes it work easy, everything work easier for you.
Perfect. And you can do this at home, so follow these 5 steps.
My philosophy would be always to make sure the first parameter of your bike fit is that your saddle is in the right place. And that's 3 things. It's your saddle height, okay? How high your saddle is, how forward or back it is, and then tilt. Let's deal with the first one of those first of all, right? Rules of thumb that you can use at home for yourself would be the Numb method. Now that is to measure your inseam, so your inseam length, you might know that because you know what size trousers you take or whatever, and then you times that by 0.83, and that is your saddle height. Now remember, saddle height is middle of the bottom bracket to the very top of the saddle, all right? As long as you're measuring to the same place each time, then that'll be relatively right, okay? So that's your saddle height, or you can get on the bike, and another method some people propose, I've got in my book as well, is you put your heel on your heel, not your front of your foot, your heel on the bottom of with the pedal right at the bottom of the pedal stroke. Put your heel there. If your leg is straight at that point, not overreaching, not slightly bent straight, that is another indication of when you then pull your foot back and put it on the pedal or clip in, that's a good saddle height. And those 2 rules get people quite a long way there. So the next really important thing about your bike setup, and especially where your saddle is the fore aft. Too far back, the bike feels really long and the reach is problematic. Too far forward, you can pick up tight knees and feel very cramped up. So it's a bit of a hard thing to set up by yourself, actually, without an objective eye on the outside. But things I would look out for is that, if you're already on, say, a 90mm stem, relatively short, but the front of the bike feels miles away, just try moving your saddle forward, and seeing whether it can produce a lot more comfort. Remember, if you move the saddle forward, your saddle height drops, so you might have to recalculate that. Move it backwards, saddle height increases. So it's a bit complicated, but saddle fore aft is really important in terms of reach, if you ask me, and making sure that you're over the bottom, over the pedal, over the bottom bracket, and where you're producing that power. Little bit of a caveat at the end there, just to make sure that you haven't moved the fore aft too forward, is the old plumb line method. With your knee as far forward as it gets on the pedal stroke, make sure you drop a plumb line down, and that should be in line with your pedal spindle. If you're too far forward, you might start to feel like your kneecap's getting a bit compressed, and that's something to look out for as well. One of the easiest things about a bike fit is saddle tilt, okay? I have designed saddles in this room. I have changed the UCI rule on saddle tilt to make it better over 10 years ago, or help change it. And saddle tilts, I don't know of any saddle that's meant to be used nose up. So real key thing to check, if, for example, you've got low back pain, getting front of saddle pain and numbness at the front, just check your saddle. Sometimes they can slip, so you might not have set it there, but your nose of your saddle should not be up, right? A saddle should be absolutely level, if you ask me, or ever so slightly nose down. Now, here's a little bit of a nice hack and trick, is that we know from research we've done that if you increase the saddle tilt by 1 or 2 degrees, it demonstrably improves your comfort, especially for women who ride in a certain style on the front of the nose of the saddle. So it can really, obviously you don't want to go too far. When you've gone too far with saddle tilt, because you'll have more weight on your hands and you'll feel like you're falling off the front of the bike. So a little bit of trial and error can find out that little sweet spot, and it's normally just I find, between 2 and 3 degrees nose down of the saddle at the front. But make sure your nose of your saddle is not up, because it's one of the most common reasons for the bike feeling too big, low back pain, perineal numbness. Assuming we've got the saddle now in the right place for you to pedal pain-free, comfortably and powerfully, and that's the most important thing, we then turn our attention, in my way of thinking about it, to the front end, okay? So 2 things about the front end is the reach and then the drop, so whether it's high, low, and the reach is whether it's close or further away. Now, Ideally, I would say when you put your hands on the hoods, this is the position that Shimano or SRAM or whatever worked out where you spend most of the time, has 16 different hand positions. You should be able to comfortably get to here, right? And you should be able to, when I say comfortably, you should feel nice and comfortable when you're on it, and that your elbow is ever so slightly bent, all right? That you haven't got completely locked out arms or you're not completely bent like this. So if you imagine those things there, if you see that you're much more comfortable here, that's a sign that that your reach is probably too far, right? Now, what is your reach made up of? Obviously, where your saddle is. Don't forget the saddle fore aft. But if you assume that is correct, when we come to the front, how long your stem is, okay? So if you find you're struggling to get to hoods, it's far away, it could be that you need a shorter stem. My rule of thumb, if you're shorter than a 90 or an 80 stem, 80 would be the absolute minimum I would ever go to. And if it's shorter than that, then something's wrong with the back end or you're on the wrong size bike. Longer than 140, the handling is going to get very twitchy. That bike might be too small for you. So you've got quite a bit of playroom there, and this is not a really expensive thing to change. But here's my top tip. Before changing stem length, make sure your handlebar width is right, okay? Because if you're on quite wide handlebars, and a lot of bikes, in a certain size range will come with quite wide ones, that increases the reach because you have to go out to meet it. So I see a lot of people who've shortened up their stems massively, but are still struggling because their handlebars are too wide. Handlebar width is really important for aero, but for me it's really important for comfort, all right? And the easiest way to measure it is to stand, if you look in the mirror, your shoulder, the middle of your shoulder, what we call the AC joint here, it should be, when your hand is on the hood, should be in line with the hood. If you put yourself set up on a bike and look in a mirror, you can normally see that. If your hands are outside your shoulders, you might even notice that, then you're on probably too wide a handlebars. It should be in line with your shoulders, not inside, in here. Not many people go inside, plenty of people are too wide. And when you're wide there, you're often what we call splay, a numbness in your hands. If you recognise those things about yourself, have a think about your handlebar width as well as your stem width in combination. The next point is how low or high the front end of the bike is. Top tip for me is, if you've got a new bike or you've got a bike, never cut this steerer tube off until you're absolutely certain you've got the right height, because you've got loads of variability here. You've got 40 mils basically on most of the time, right, of spaces where you can literally undo the stem, take some of these bits out, put them on top. Now, why would you want to do that? If you're going long rides, you're probably going to want a bit more of a comfortable position where the drop to the front end isn't that dramatic, so that you're not, you haven't, that position will be harder to hold for long miles. On the flip side of that, you don't want to be sat too upright, and the way to notice that is you get a lot of weight on your sit bones back, and you feel like your arms are locked out because you're quite on aero. If you're really into performance, generally lower at the front end is a more of a performance position. You cut a smaller hole in the air, so to speak, but don't go too low. I find a lot of people try and pretend that they're Mark Cavendish, where really they're not that man, and it's not their job to ride a bike. And if your goal is to reach the end of a 2-hour ride enjoying it and not in discomfort, you don't have to be low and slam to the front end. But experimenting out with that, though, about where that is at home is just about, I would go with how you feel and how comfortable it is. Would be to there.
30?
Yeah, you're literally that much younger than me. That's amazing, actually, isn't it? But you must be long inseaming trousers, aren't you? Yeah. Say 33, yeah.
Out of interest, I wanted to test the Numb method, so I was like, let's just see if that works for mine. It's so far out for me. Why would that? It's like 3 inches out.
Well, this is the problem with rules for thumb. They are literally rules of thumb, right? And they'll work for the average person in the middle, so about 60 to 70% of people are in the middle of the normal distribution curve. But then there's all the reasons why rules of thumb don't work, in that all you human beings are quite unique, and that's sometimes where you need a bike fit or more help with it. Yeah, but it's way out for you, isn't it? It's fitting to numbers, isn't it? And you're trying to get everyone to move in. It's making an assumption that everybody will react in the same way. But standing next to the bike and lining up your bony bit of your hip, I've always found that works really well.
That is what I've always done. If I ever had a different bike to try or something, I just always stand next to it and just put my hip,
the bony bit of
the bone of your hip next to it, and that has always worked. To be honest, you'll be mad at this, but when I go away with my bike, that's how I measure it. I don't.
All the work we do.
I'm just like, yeah, but I'm comfortable. It's fine. It's fine with it. It's fine with it. All right. Just wanted to let you know that in case you do it and you're like, that's way out. Sometimes just measuring, and always go also by feel. So if something doesn't feel right, so don't just work to numbers.
Exactly. Don't just blindly stay to something. If you use one of these methods and you're like, this doesn't feel right, you are
Yeah.
correct, right? The subjective interpretation, comfort's the most important thing, so you can go off feel to do that.
Look at you, you little short legs.
You're just taking a piss now.
Just figured out that so Phil is, how tall are you?
6'4".
6'4", and I'm like 5'9", 5'10". Phil's inseam is 30 and mine's 33.
That's why I need 165 cranks.
I hope those tips have helped. If you want more information, you can get Phil's bike fit book.
Yep.
Guess who's in it?
Oh yes.
Who that? That's me.
What a wonderful model you were.
Oh, thanks. But yeah, I'll leave a link to this book. It's got more information, more things that you can do at home.
Yeah. More things that you can have out. At that end of the spectrum, you've got at-home self-tips. Like I say, a lot of people can get themselves a long way. It's really nice when someone says the book's helped them out, do it that way. You have in-person bike fit, which is in here, but that takes time, money, and travel that some people can't do. What I'm really excited about is that we've now got this remote bike fit option using a AI app called My VeloFit, where if you're really struggling, and human beings are all different, some of us are quite unique, we might have injuries, might have issues. If you can't get it sorted out, you can now have a bike fit with me without even have to leaving your own home. So you can actually do it on your mobile phone, on the turbo. Send us the information and we can analyse it.
So Phil's doing like remote bike fix. I'll leave a link to that below. You said you got like a discount code.
Yeah, we're giving you 10%. Your viewers, we've got 10% discount thing. I'll give you the code for that. And the services. During COVID, when nobody could come in, we did remote thing for the first time then. I couldn't believe how successful it was because, of course, I know what I know and you don't know what you know. And I'm really just passionate about people being able to ride pain-free and everything. And if you can't sort it out yourself, no hard sell. That's why the book's out there. It's like, for £10-15 or whatever you get off Amazon, if you can sort yourself out, brilliant. Do that, But if you need a bit more help, we've got this in-between service now.
Yeah, perfect.
Right.
And then if you want to come and see Phil, he's in Manchester, so.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. And if you've got any questions, leave them in the comments and we will see you all next video.
Thanks.
Bye. Thanks, Phil. That bend okay?
Perfect. Someone must have set you up really well. This was the Telegraph photographer's tripod that he just left when we first.
You tell me that every time I use it.
Sorry.